A time for patriotism. Here we go. Here at KXII, we're celebrating America's 250th birthday early, starting today up until next July 4th, featuring stories of American innovation, democracy, and diversity, also highlighting everyday Americans making a difference in their communities.
Olivia Thompson has our first story in our new series, We the People, America 2050.
A chain of events paint America's past, and those who fought on front lines drafted documents amongst committees or sewed the 13 colonies into an unforgettable form aren't to be lost on anyone. To close America's 249th year of independence right, retired U.S. Air Force veterans Mark and Nancy Thompson posed as two historical figures at Sherman's First United Bank Thursday to honor that significance. Draped in a waistcoat and topped with a slouch hat, Mark dressed as primary author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson.
Growing protests throughout the colonies led King George to increase the military presence.
Nancy dressed as American upholsterer Betsy Ross, who's credited with sewing the first American flag.
Ross acquired his property and kept up the upholstery business, working day and night to make ends meet.
The Thompsons have lived in Sherman for over 35 years and have been married for 50. Although they have several shared experiences together, such as raising children and serving in the Air Force on the same base, Thursday's joint appearance was a first for the pair.
13 alternating red and white stripes, a blue cannon with 13 five-pointed stars arranged in a circle.
As part of a Heritage Foundation program, Mark led attendees as they recited a portion of the Declaration of Independence.
Time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries by the ties of our common kindred.
A joint history lesson encouraging all to remember the beauty of America's founding document.
Declaration of the 13 United States of America.
Reporting in Sherman, I'm Olivia Thompson.